the faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me you're from Memphis.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood here on the show. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my co-host, Devin. Of course, today we're going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts of the latest film to hit theaters, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home. And before we begin today's show, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Devin, how are you doing today, man? You just came out of the theater, I believe.
Yeah, wow. I don't even know what to say. Just insane. I will say, as soon as I got out of that theater, got in my car, Spider-Verse soundtrack on max volume.
For sure. Absolutely, dude. It has those vibes too. And of course, like I said before, this is our spoiler-free thoughts of Spider-Man No Way Home. We will be dropping a spoiler-heavy review separately on the Monday following, on December 20th. The Monday following the film's release in theaters. But yeah, man, I got to tell you, I've been sitting on this news for a bit, and a few days ago I was fortunate enough to go see a early press screening of Spider-Man No Way Home, and it really blew me away. And of course, I just came out of theater again by seeing it, and I gotta say, man, and I know this might be a hot take. Best MCU movie, 100%.
That's definitely a hot take for sure.
100%. The stakes are high, and there's a lot of, there's so much hearts. And Kevin Feige and Jon Watts, they're like, they understand this character so much. And this film feels like a celebration of like the past, 19 years of Spider-Man. We have 5 villains that have been confirmed in this, and it's so crazy. And I can't, literally on paper, this should not work at all. We've seen with so many iterations, people are saying, oh, it's Spider-Man 3 from Sam Raimi, there's too many villains. And it just doesn't work. But we've seen through other iterations in the MCU with Avengers Infinity War and with Avengers Endgame, and also with with Civil War, even not even just introducing villains, but some people can say those movies are overcrowded because there's too many characters. But obviously me and you, we've been invested in this universe since 2012, since day one. And I was blown away by the sheer emotion and bold steps that they took to get this done.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it really is insane how they pulled it off. I definitely had high expectations, and this definitely met them and exceeded them, which was definitely pretty surprising. I mean, they fixed a lot of issues that we've had. They righted a lot of wrongs that we've had in the past as far as Spider-Man characters go. I just don't really see any real issues with it. Of course, no one hates Spider-Man movies more than Spider-Man fans, so they're going to have some issues that I'm sure will be ridiculous and nonsensical, but
right.
Not looking forward to that. But other than that, I mean, it's just a great, you can't even call it a send-off because Tom Holland is signed on for more movies, but it's a great send-off for this trilogy, you can say.
Yeah. And as we've seen, I mean, honestly, going through the Rotten Tomatoes between this entire trilogy, and especially this one, obviously tonight being the preview for fans to come out and see, it's sitting at a 95% for critics and the 99% for audience score. I can definitely see a lot of people calling this film, fan service to the T, but it's you know what? even if it is, who cares? Because you know why? Like it's fan service that works.
Yeah, it reminded me of Endgame as far as fan service goes.
Yeah. It's, we've seen other iterations, Zack Snyder's Justice League. That movie was for the fans. It wasn't trying to, get all these Oscar contenders. It was a movie that Zack wanted to finish. And it was a movie that he made for technically one person only. And that is his late daughter. But with Spider-Man, it's so, with No Way Home, during the beginning of the movie, it really just kind of, I mean, man, I'm trying to figure out a way to word this. So during the beginning of the movie, it kind of just hits the ground like it's boom, we're back into the action because, with Spider-Man Far From Home and No Way Home, it's kind of like a part 1, part 2 type situation. Technically, obviously with Homecoming as well, but everything just fits so well together. And the characters are great. The nice little quippy banter that we get between Ned, Peter, and MJ. It really feels like these characters, we've been with these characters since the beginning of this trilogy. And like I gotta say, this is probably the best MCU trilogy we've had. Like just overall. I wholeheartly believe that. Because the last time I checked for Spider-Man Homecoming, it was, oh my gosh, it was sitting at a pretty nice. So last time I checked, Spider-Man Homecoming was sitting at 92% for critics, 87% for audience. Far From Home, 90% for critics, 95% audience score, and of course the 99% for audience score for No Way Home, and then a 95 for critics. But I mean,
definitely the only trilogy that has like 3 completely solid entries. Like, there's no real flaw. Like the first 2 were definitely more like on the lighthearted side. The stakes weren't very high, but then this one just really steps up all of it, and there are so many stakes, and there's just so much going on. But it works because it built up to it.
Right. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the stakes in this movie, it feels like the stakes are higher in this movie than Avengers Endgame or Infinity War. Like, it really.
I don't know about that much, but
I wholeheartily believe that because we'll get into it with our spoiler review. I don't want to obviously give anything away, but I believe. I don't
know if half the universe was in trouble here.
Well, okay, not half the universe. I mean, that was easily reversed. There are a lot of decisions that Peter makes in this movie that will, affect his life moving forward. So it's very that's just my take. I'm not, not discrediting, what they've done with Infinity War or what they've done with Endgame. I mean, as of right now, Infinity War is my number 2. Like, No Way Home, I'm sorry, it is my favorite MCU movie. And yes, because it's Spider-Man, but it's really is a celebration of this character. When I went to my theater tonight, when I started with the press screening, we got some laughs and chuckles, but tonight when I saw it, it was everything that I hoped, because everyone was, cheering at, there's big shocking moments, all the fun surprises that happened throughout this movie. It was literally, it felt like no other. Like, my entire theater was packed. I believe there was only, if I had to guess, I saw it in Dolby. There was maybe 5 seats empty. And there was 1 seat empty next to me. But I was looking around and it was everything. All the Spider-Man fans, people are dressing up as Spider-Man, coming in. I took a few pictures of people were dressing up as Spider-Man throughout the lobby. You felt like you were seeing probably obviously clearly the best comic book movie of the year, but it felt like an event. Like it felt like an event, like Endgame. Like in a way, like I've seen a lot of people say, this is like a Spider-Man Endgame because it is like it's the end of this trilogy, and like you said before, they have confirmed that that Tom Holland will be coming back for another trilogy, but it really, to me, and that this is just me, like I said, no discredit towards Avengers Endgame or anything, but the stakes in this movie, the risks that they took in this movie, and the heart and the emotional pound, the emotional like drums that hit in this movie, to me, like, I mean, I felt something during, Infinity War and Endgame, but like this was more personal, at least for me, because Spider-Man is my favorite hero, and I'm just I'm blown away, I'm blown away by the writing.
I mean, for me, I just can't see anything ever living up to the portal scene in Endgame.
Oh,
That was a monumental moment in like cinema, you could say.
Oh, absolutely. The portal scene in Endgame is something we will never forget. But I also believe within this movie there are surprises that people will never forget. There are just moments with characters, like the interactions, and of course, and I kind of actually wanted to kind of segue into like the villains of this movie, with where we and of course this has already all been confirmed between we see Sandman in the trailer, we see Electro, Doc Ock, the Lizard, and then of course Green Goblin. Overall, I like with the five not heroes, excuse me, the five villains we get, they really, the movie tends to kind of juggle things around in a good way, where I feel like we got at least, maybe not an equal amount of screen time between everyone, but there were really nice interactions between them within each other, and of course our trio with Peter, Ned, and MJ that really hits. And I gotta say, man, my theater loved it. It was great. Like, and of course, everyone freaks out when they see Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe. He was apparently, when I read it was actually a video with Willem Dafoe. He agreed to come back only if he could do his own stunts, and he wasn't just like a small little like cameo appearance. So I really enjoyed how he kind of put his foot down, because clearly, something with this character and this franchise really means a lot to him. But what did you think of the villains? Obviously, without giving anything away.
Yeah, I thought they pulled it off perfectly. Like, especially coming off of Spider-Man 3, where the villains were the main issue because there were just too many of them. I think they really pulled it off here. Obviously, not quite a Sinister Six. I guess it's like a Furious Five or something, but
a Fatal Five.
They righted some wrongs. They wronged some rights, and overall, just you can't go wrong with these actors. I mean,
no,
all of them are great in their own ways. Obviously, Lizard and Electro, I mean, when their original appearances in their movies, just not great. I mean, as characters, just not great appearances and not great writing for them. Definitely fix some of that here, at least for one of those two. Guess you'll have to see, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, this character posters of Jamie Foxx, so I think he's the one who's like visually, he looks different than in Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, but yeah, I really like how they kind of just, it was a second way. It was like a chance to kind of go back and be like, okay, like we want Jamie Foxx to come back. He's kind of already said it, and obviously there is a poster out there, and it is official. It is legal. It's nothing with spoilers. We have seen Jamie Foxx in the marketing, and he looks great. Like, I really like how they're able, they kind of just not necessarily retcon, but I mean, I guess in a way, it's like, hey, you know, like let's fix them up a bit, you know, kind of just give them that nice little Marvel makeover, that Marvel Studios makeover.
Much needed.
Much needed for sure. So, but yeah, like I said, you know, the villains are great. It is a, you know, there's just a lot of decisions. You know, everything is happening due to, you know, Peter's decisions in this movie. And, you know, it's not just a Spider-Man movie. This really is a Peter Parker story. And I really like how grounded it is. You know, obviously, like we all know it is dealing with the multiverse, but it feels so grounded in the same way as, man, oh man, just the emotional punches, you know, like I can keep going on and on, but this is a spoiler-free review. So, you know, we're definitely going to be getting into our non-spoiler for sure, but this more of just like casual conversation. Didn't want to, you know, production of this one is kind of just more of a clear conversation, but I'll just pass it back over to Devin really quick. If there's anything else you wanted to mention before we kind of just wrap up here.
I don't know if there's anything left to mention without getting into the spoilies.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So yeah, that you know, that pretty much wraps up our small little non-spoiler or spoiler. I hate saying non-spoiler. Spoiler free. For me, it's just easier, rolls off the tongue a little bit more. That concludes our spoiler free thoughts, our initial reactions of Spider-Man No Way Home. Definitely check it out. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you're going to love it. And if you have seen it, please do not ruin the movies for anyone else. You know, this is something special, and I feel like this is definitely a movie that people are going to be talking about for a good long while for sure. Very interested to see where this kind of, you know, ends on everyone's MCU rankings on Twitter and whatnot. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our review of Spider-Man No Way Home, our spoiler-free review of Spider-Man No Way Home. So really quick, what's coming up on the podcast? Of course, we have our Spider-Man No Way Home spoiler-heavy review that'll be dropping on December 20th. Definitely look out for our Matrix 3 review, which I believe we're going to be dropping sometime next week. Not entirely sure yet. Just follow us on Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X, so that we can kind of get that, you know, taken care of for you guys, because, you know, Matrix 4 is right around the corner. And speaking of Matrix 4, you know, we're going to be dropping that as well. I believe, I don't know if it's going to be December 22nd, because also on December 22nd, we have the Hawkeye season finale. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So definitely, you know, we'll keep you posted over on Twitter. Still trying to, you know, iron out some of the wrinkles to kind of close out the year. And then, of course, we're going to be closing out the year with Don't Look Up, which is coming to Netflix on a Christmas Eve, aka December 24th. So that pretty much does it here for today. So let's get on out of here. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And follow us on Twitter to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.